Good Friday afternoon. This is Stacy Emmert,
And Rich Viola.
and we're here today with our Friday T.G.I.F vlog. Cheers.
Cheers.
To those of you who know us, it shouldn't be a surprise. For those of you who don't, we're here every Friday talking about different topics that impact you in the workplace, individually or as an organization. And some people ask how we might do that. And as Rich will say,
Yeah, a lot of straight talk.
yep, we work with a high sense of urgency.
We tap into your talents.
Like you, we love what we do.
And typically when we partner, you achieve.
And today's topic came from an inspiration on a napkin, believe it or not. And the question on this napkin was, what did you do today to change the world? And the answer for this gentleman on my napkin said he changed his socks, and that counts. So we thought today might be a really good day to talk about change.
Change. And so globally, how do you view change? How do you react to change? And with that, are you more of a victim of change? Are you a champion of change? Are you stuck in neutral?
Or hiding in the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and we know and we realize when it comes to change in the business or the work setting, a lot of it is influenced around how the organization sets that change up and where they're at in the business life cycle, how well they communicate it, get out in front of it, and share with folks how and what's coming. So some organizations do that better than others, but individually, we just like to focus on change and, again, how you view it, how you react to it, some strategies to deal with it, and we'll share some framework that we do with a lot of the teams we work with.
And so, for those of you who do and have worked around change, we do use pull from the Cotter model of change, and we always like to say at the beginning of change, usually it's uninformed optimism. You know something's coming and you're hoping that it's good, but you're not quite sure what it is. So depending on where you are in that feeling and the communication, sometimes just the mere fact of change could send you into shock and denial. And if you are really change averse, you're really going to struggle with maybe not knowing exactly what's coming.
And so when you start to struggle, you feel frustrated by that, and you may have experienced it yourself or with teams or team members, is there's some resistance to the change. And then slowly there's stronger feelings, maybe even at times anger, some bargaining going on. Certainly didn't mean us, right? You didn't mean us. You meant everybody else. And then there could be some inadvertent or unintentional sabotage or passive aggressive behaviors going on that really doesn't bode well for trying to get through the change and get to a better place. Ultimately, what happens is there's that. We call it the valley of despair. So uninformed optimism over here, and you're coming down into the pit, right? The lowest level you could possibly be at, and then slowly adopting new ways of thinking or exploring new ways of thinking and accepting. So ultimately, on the other end, you're at commitment and acceptance and really on the same page or on the bus with the change. And as individuals and leadership teams, we try to lessen that dip or that pit, and so it levels out a little bit more, and the change is a little bit more easy to deal with and understandable, and people get to a different place in their role and in their team.
I mean, nobody likes it. It's uncomfortable, but it's the way it is. And if you're the person that's the champion or you're leading change, it's like pushing a boulder up the hill. Some days you make one step forward and then 3 steps back. So, it really does take fortitude and a high level of commitment from everyone to move through to get to the other side, and that's where the learning is. So if you are going through some change, we feel for you. We've been there. We come in and help teams through it. So as we say, strap on and you will get through it, and it'll be a great learning experience for you.
So, if you need help dealing with change, by all means reach out. Some of the strategies we can share with you, depending on where you're at in that change curve, at the high end, information and communication and all is critical. So as much as you can, whether you're leading the organization, you're part of a team that's part of the change initiative, communicate, and make sure that's two ways. Don't just keep pushing things at people without listening to them. For some organizations, they go through so much change that the people reach a point where they can't take any more change.
Yeah.
They're willing, but they just can't do anything more that's new.
Sometimes you have to hit pause and let everyone else catch up.
Right.
To figure out where are we today, and then where do we need to get to, and how are we going to do that.
And then you have the folks that may need a little bit more individual support, or what we call teams care and feeding, where they're really struggling. And frankly, some of that is predictable. It's normal, especially if they've been doing the same thing over and over for so many years. You have to meet them where they're at, and then slowly get them to take the next step forward. And if then they're not able to, then you have to have different conversations.
Yeah. I mean, so you imagine if you've been doing the same thing you've been doing for 15 years, and now you have to change the way you're working, and you have to go out to your customers, peers, and the rest of the organization who's been doing the same thing for 15 years. So it does get a little challenging. So we do understand that, you do need support, and you need a good champion team, and it needs to be involved, and there is a lot of encouragement that needs to happen, and you have to celebrate the little successes along the way.
And then, again, as you support individuals, get clear communication out on or throughout the process, or throughout the initiative, throughout the change, continue to give updates, provide guidelines, provide direction, but get them in a position where they can help manage themselves or manage their teams through it, so they feel like they're part of it, as opposed to it being done to them.
Yeah. And so, if you have been brought in to affect change for your organization, the one piece of advice I think we would tell you is to make sure that the rest of the organization understands what your role is.
Exactly.
So, on that note, cheers.
Cheers.
T.G.I.F. Talk to you next